Chrono Trigger. The crown jewel of JRPGs. The legendary Chrono Trigger. Does this game even need an introduction? You play as Chrono, traveling through time and battling monsters. Everything about this game is just a grand slam, and it's a lot better than the one from Denny's. The gameplay is probably the smoothest and cleanest turn-based battle systems on the Super Nintendo. The story is absolutely incredible, carrying you across multiple time periods from the end of time to 65 million BC and several times in between. But you didn't come here to just listen to me gush about how great Chrono Trigger is. You came here to see me in pain. For this challenge run, the only rules are that I will use only basic equipment that the characters start out with, and that I can't use any alternative stat boosts. Being that this is an RPG, this is going to make the game significantly harder. To start out, it's now time for the Millennium Fair, and my mother wants me to go try to make friends, which as a mute kid, I can't really do. When we get to the fair, I see a cute blonde, and I decide to show her what it would be like to meet me in the ring. Turns out she wasn't ready, and I just body her. So because I felt bad, I wanted to get her some candy, which she takes forever to get. After she picks up her candy, we go to the main attraction of the fair. Luca. She's created some teleportation pods, which can instantly travel from one pod to the other. I told Nadia to go earn her candy, so she jumps up into the teleporter. Only something is wrong and her pendant seems to be reacting. It creates some sort of wormhole and sucks her up inside. Since we had planned to split the bill for the candy, I jump in the wormhole after her. Exiting, I don't see Nadia at all, and I'm completely surrounded by monsters. And I still don't have my money. Battling through monsters, nothing is really different yet from this run. It's basically just a normal playthrough. Finding our way off the mountain, our world seems a little different. My house is completely gone. On our way to the castle, we find a strength capsule. They are items that will give us an instant increase to our basic stats, but since I'm insane, I won't use them for this playthrough either. Shelter. Reaching the castle, the queen asks me to her quarters. Pardon me, sire. Duty calls. Reaching her bedchamber, she ushers her handmaidens out, and now since we are alone, she explodes. I swear women are all the same. Although usually it's a headache. This is something else, I guess. I decided to pass on the situation, and on my way out, Luca stops me. Apparently, we're in 600 AD now. On our way to investigate, shelter, the exploding queen, we find ourselves in the House of God. But it turns out the nuns are actually snake women. They are so cooked. After dispatching the snakes, another one shows up to hurt Luca. But a frogman shows up and one-shots it. We were asked to name him, and I go totally randomly with Glenn with 2 N's. Playing the organ, a door opens. Going into the church, it is infested with monsters, which are mostly no issue. Eventually we come up onto another organ, which we also play, and this time it opens a door that leads to the boss. This fight was somewhat challenging, mostly because of the lack of solid healing, with Glenn being the main healer. He has a pretty low health of 300, so it doesn't take long to finish him off. We free the Chancellor and then return to the castle with the Queen. The King thanks us, and then we head up to the Queen's room, where Nadia is just returning to this mortal plane. With her back in one piece, we go back to our own time. Glenn tells us about how sad he is, shelter, and then we return to the mountain to get back to our time. Taking Nadia back home, because I guess she's a princess, the King is a little PO'd about the whole kidnapping, and he was not amused by the whole, your princess is in another castle thing. The Chancellor then takes us to court, and all his witnesses are paid off, I swear! I'm innocent! I was just hungry! I told you I was just hungry! Of course her fortune tempted me, she's the princess! How can I be guilty? I didn't do anything! Whatever. This isn't gonna affect me in my real life. Execution! I guess I'm gonna break out then. Escaping the prison, there are a few guards. Beating them up, I eventually find Luca had come to save me. Making our way out, we run into the Chancellor's little pet, the dragon tank. This boss actually gave me a bit of trouble. The head can heal the entire boss, so he has to lose that first. The tank kept just running us both over, which actually did massive damage, but I think I only had to try this boss a couple of times to actually beat him. After slaying the dragon, we finally escape to the castle. Nadia joins our party again, and then we flee into the woods. We find ourselves cornered, but there is a time gate. Leaping in... lol. We find ourselves in what looks to be the future. Going outside, we find that the world is completely desolate and empty. Traveling through the ruins of the city, we find some mutated creatures. Leaving the ruins, we find another dome. A whole bunch of people are in here, and everyone just seems to be out of food. A lot of walking meat, if you know what I mean. Going into the depths of the dome, we find a gigantic robotic guard, and he's actually pretty scary. If I mistakenly attack the main robot, they perform a high damage attack on my entire party. He actually takes a few attempts. This boss was the last boss that I had practiced before I actually decided to do this run, so the rest of these bosses have zero practice. After finding that there is no food left in the fridge, Dad gives me the keys to his car, and we head to another... We race Johnny Bicycle. And then we head to another dome. Inside this dome, we find a broken down robot, which Luca is able to repair. The robot is saddened to find out that all the humans and other robots are dead, so he joins us and swears his loyalty to us. He is never going to give us up, and he's never going to let us down. The door to another time gate is currently locked and powered off, so we have to go to a nearby power station and turn it on. Luca stays back to open the door and we head inside. The whole dungeon is actually pretty easy, with most of the fights only taking a minute, but I'm never at risk of losing. When we turn on the power, the whole facility starts to lock up. We escape the first few rooms and then encounter blue versions of our robot friend. They then start to absolutely pummel them, which, I tried to stop them, but they were just totally unfazed. After trashing my R66-Y model, they attack us. I found it was best to actually target the back row first because they have a more dangerous combo attack than the front ones. After destroying them, we grab our poor battered robot and bring him back to Luca. She works through the night and he is fixed up good as new. Jumping in the portal, we find ourselves... Does anyone know where we are? Okay, turns out it's the end of time, if there could even be such a thing. He tells us that we can't travel with all 4 people because of time or something. So Chrono and the girls jump back into 1000 AD, and unfortunately we're in Europe. Making our way into a cave, we find the Hecarim, which is a super weak to magic monster. We take him out first try. Making our way back to America, we jump back into the fair and go back to 600 AD. This time we decide to join the war against the Mystics, and we battle our way all the way across the front lines. Piccolo here keeps summoning skeletons to fight us, but at this point they aren't a threat. Reaching the end of the bridge, a giant skeleton shows up. He goes down without too much trouble, and then we search for Glenn with 2 N's. Speaking with him, he is now depressed, because... I don't know. He's just a depressed frogman. With 2 N's. Like my ex-wife when I was depressed, I leave, and we go try to acquire his old sword. The... Masamune? As a kid, I actually called it the Manasume, so don't judge my pronunciation. Mountain is boring and annoying. Reaching the altar at the very top, these 2 little creatures things show up and start to fight us. They are actually super weak, but after dealing some damage, they fuse together and... Oh my gosh! Dude never skipped arm day! Probably could have used a leg day, maybe even once a week. The top half of him looks like he could rip a car in half. The bottom half probably can't step up a curb. He honestly wasn't too bad. A bit spongy, but very manageable. After killing him, we find ourselves the Masamune. Or I guess just the blade. Still sharp. Going back to Double N, he actually holds the hilt of the sword. We take them both to the Master Swordsmith, but then we need another piece. Dreamstone. Which hasn't been seen in about 65 million years. Good thing, I know how to get it. Reaching 65 million BC, we get attacked by some lizards. After killing them, we get attacked by a cutscene. We get to meet Ayla, a beastly woman with a tail, and one of my favorite characters. Well, no, not for the tail, for the weapon, her fist. No! We are welcome to celebrate with a party. After the party, we wake up extremely hungover, and the gate key is missing. Waking Ayla up, she blames the lizards. Classy. Heading into the jungle, we battle some dinosaurs, but nothing really that we can't handle. After the jungle, we reach a cave. After falling down some holes, I'll take that. After falling down some holes, we battle Nizbel, a absolutely jacked dinosaur. I bet he could lift while mopping. He was another first try boss. With a Dreamstone in hand, we return to Melchior to get the Masamune repaired. After that, we return it to Glenn, who is so impressed that he gives us a soliloquy, and then joins our team. Together, we have the power to stop the Mystic Army. With the Masamune in hand, Dragon Ball slices the mountain in half. It was at this point that I noticed that Glenn was doing some massive damage, which I found out it automatically equipped him the Masamune. I did remove it and switch back to the bronze sword that he was using. Reaching the Fiend Lord's fortress, we find that not everything is as it seems. Ozzy tells us of Slash and Flea, two very powerful soldiers. Heading to Slash first, we fight for an extremely long time only for me to completely run out of steam. He was just doing too much damage. As a last-ditch effort, I used Chrono to attack one last time, and it actually had taken him out. Flea is a different story. It's this weird-looking monster with shoulder pads. No, actually, I mean this they-them is Flea. Flea ends up killing the party really quickly, and it was clear that Flea was just too strong to take out right now. So I return to town to get some items, and I grind a couple levels, and then return for a round 2, which this time goes much smoother. After Flea is defeated, Ozzy tries to summon them both, but unfortunately, they are both unalived and will not come to his calling. So he runs away. As we chase him deeper into the dungeon, we end up fighting 100 monsters. Reaching his throne room, he freezes himself in carbonite. Punching the convenient levers that are surrounding him, it drops him into a pit. Woo. In the next room, we get a Dragon Ball of Frog with two ends meeting Vegeta for the first time. Battling Blue Vegeta, he changes his barrier and then I can only damage him with that type of magic. It's kind of a cool fight, but with how little damage I do, it mostly feels like a heal off. Most of the way through the battle, he lowers his defenses and then the whole party is able to just wail on him. After a little bit, he unleashes his strongest attack. After defeating him, Lavos awakens and with all that power, he opens up a portal that takes us back to the prehistoric era. Ayla had fortunately found us and brought us back to her village. Then we go find someone burned down an entire village. Don't know who that could have been. And then we go get some dinosaurs to ride. And then we learn how to train your dragon. Taking our new cars to the Dino Lair, the lizard people have made themselves a little castle. Finding Kino, Ayla frees him and then shows us Doe. Climbing up to the top of the castle, we find Nizbel flexing and being all intimidating, and also alive again. After fighting Nizbel, Iggy Azalea has a new dinosaur, the Black Tyranno. After slaying both the rapper and the dinosaur, Lavos finally makes his first appearance, coming as a meteor smashing directly into the Dino Kingdom. It's pretty crazy to see natural selection at work. After Lavos turns the entire Lizard Kingdom into a parking lot, we find ourselves a new portal. This one takes us to 12,000 BC. Even though this era is only 13,000 years before our game actually started, their technology is super advanced. Exploring around, we find something called the Mammon Machine, with if King James is right, is the root of all evil or something. But anyway, we go harass the queen and her bodyguard summons my ex-wife, and she absolutely wrecks us. After which we get thrown back through a time gate, and we now need to find another way back to that time. Heading back to 2300 AD, we find out that the dock has built us a time-traveling car, called the Epoch, which after getting in, we go right back to 12,000 BC. This time we go to Earthbound Village, which is filled with people who just can't use magic, with a floating prison mountain over top of them. It seems safe. The Guardian of the Chain is absolutely obnoxious. I realized about halfway through the fight that I was switching which beast I was attacking. Also, is this a bug? Or a feature? After climbing up the tether, there's a bunch of new enemies to battle, but not really anything we can't handle. Reaching the peak, we find a guru frozen in carbonite, and there's this big-eared bat monster guarding him, so we have to dispatch it before we can free him. After freeing him, Shala finds us meddling in the queen's plans. But she isn't cool with the whole immortal queen thing, and so she wants us to help us. Dalton unfortunately had followed her and brings her back to the castle. Melchior, yes that Melchior, gives us this red knife to use on the Mammon Machine. It's the only thing that can actually damage the Mammon Machine. We return to the throne room only to find Dalton there instead of the queen. He tries to call my ex-wife again, but this time, I got a restraining order. Checkmate! After beating him, he leaves us this portal to get to the Ocean Palace. The Ocean Palace is one of the final dungeons, so the enemies are everywhere. Nearly at the end, Dalton is back, and again this time, he summons my ex-wife. Twice! What is wrong with that man? He is more of a masochist than I am. The Golem Sisters actually gave me a ton of trouble. So much so, that I needed to look up a guide on how to fight them. Most guides just told me to use better armor. Which I can't. But one guide had suggested using a Robo-Ayla combo technique, which actually worked amazingly. I was able to stop them from taking their turns, and I just absolutely pummeled them. Reaching the Queen and the Mammon Machine, we stab the machine and it summons Lavos, who probably isn't happy that we woke him up so early. Attempting to fight him, yeah, 1600 damage. Lulz. The Prophet then shows up and turns out that it was actually just Magus the whole time. He was just trying to kill Lavos, which goes just as well for him as it did for Chrono. Mustering the last little bit of strength he has, Goku takes a final stand against Lavos, and is promptly turned into a lovely red mist. The party is then taken outside to watch the desolation that Lavos causes, bringing down the entirety of the Kingdom of Zeal. We wake up in a small basic hut built by the survivors. Looking for the survivors, we find a small camp, and Dalton is here. He tricks us into looking away, and then he fireballs us from behind. We wake up in some sort of mechanical prison. Sneaking around, we find we're actually in the air on some sort of flying machine. And we find out that he stole our car! Rick gave that to me! Eventually we find our way onto the wing, and we fight my ex-wife. But she's color swapped. Then we see Dalton tricked out the car, and he added lasers. We jump onto the Epoch and we beat up Dolphin. Dolphin. Beats up a dolphin. Pummels a dolphin. Stupid dolphin, like I'm a Navy SEAL beating up dolphins. We jump onto the Epoch and we beat up Dalton. He sucks himself into a portal and we never hear from him again. Playing with the new features of our car, we laser down the Blackbird. Good thing there was no people on it. I hope. Returning to the survivors, we find Magus, and Magus tells us about how he ended up in 600 AD, and that he was actually Janus, the young boy. But with the history that they have, Glenn just wants justice for Cyrus. So I battle him 1v1 with Glenn, which was actually really easy. After defeating him, he joins our... Oh wait. Reloading my save, and this time going without Double N in the party, Magus joins us. And then I add Glenn back to the party, because he's great. Speaking with the Guru of Time, he tells us a way to bring Chrono back. But first, let's go to the fair. Nothing exciting here, but this floating appendage stole 60,000 gold from me, so I guess I should have tried to play his games. After buying Chrono, we climb a mountain to try to revive him. On the mountain, there are some Lavos spawn, which aren't really that scary as long as I don't punch the shell. Reaching the peak, we release the Time Egg, which floats off into space. And then the sun goes dark. And then we return to the moment that Chrono gets liquidated, and we swap him for his clone. With Chrono now alive again, we are back in business, and there's only one thing left to do. Fight Lavos. I don't know why I tried this. I should have known that it wasn't going to go well, but I tried anyway. Destruction rains from the heavens and nearly one-shots my entire team. Not long into this fight, I realized that it was futile, and I am just simply not strong enough again. So I take the death and decided to go to the Black Omen. The Black Omen is a really long dungeon that's really just designed to get you levels if you need them in order to fight Lavos. Inside, the enemies are super strong and every single fight is a slog to bring them down. I did, however, have the foresight to farm the Mega Elixirs from these bicranial snakes before reaching the end. Finding my way back to the Bohemian Rhapsody, she battles us, but in this form she is really just a pushover. I mean a very important functioning part of society, which is why I'm donating $100 decillion to the Women Foundation. Anyway, after that she throws us back into the Mammon Machine. It's actually really weak and doesn't hardly attack. After breaking down her machine, she turns into that stupid scammer from the fair. She does absolutely massive damage with some of her attacks, specifically her spinning triangles and her Star of David. She takes several attempts to beat, she was just too powerful. Magus actually came in clutch, having pretty high magic defense and having a spell that reduces magic damage. After taking her down, she feeds us to Lavos, which with all the levels we got from the Omen, we're actually able to take him down. His battle is a beautiful recalling of every single major boss that we have taken down to the exact HP. After winning, the shell is then opened and we can enter inside. There's a save that I decided not to use, and then realized that I didn't use it when I tried to reload the save, and it wasn't there. So to save time and effort, I chose a different way to return to the fight that involves vehicular assault. Smashing the Epoch into Levos, it completely skips the first form. Oops. Returning to the inside of the shell, we find out that this isn't even his final form. He has these Austin Powers attacks, but otherwise doesn't really do that much damage. Keeping the magic defense boosted has a massive effect on his damage, and we're actually able to take him down. After winning, we find out that this also wasn't his final form. The final fight consists of 2 magic pods and the Lavos core. The core is actually the monster on the right. The mirror absorbs all magic damage but has super low HP, and then the center pod is the primary damage. Depending on the background, his attack changes, with the 2 ultimate attacks doing over 1000 damage, which is literally more than the maximum. The final phase ends up taking a few attempts, where I mostly just needed luck to get past the backgrounds that were present when the center pod was casting a spell. When I brought the core down, the battle ended, and the dimension we were fighting in collapses. And that is the end of our run. Starting out, I was actually genuinely worried that I was not going to be able to beat this game. I had scouted the first 2 hours or so, but I was really only worried that Lavos would just one-shot me with his opening attack no matter what level I was. Early game ended up being more difficult than late game because of the options that I had in the end, with Magus being an incredible addition to our team. In the end, basic equipment ended up making Chrono just garbage for melee damage. But it was interesting using Chrono strictly as a mage because of how bad it was. If you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like, and don't forget to check out my other playlists of basic equipment runs I've done. And oh yeah, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, with plenty more content just like this planned on my channel. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.